Okay, thank you. Looks like we got a few more coming in here. So, welcome to our webinar, Mapping Made Easy. Good morning to everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us here today. We're going to talk about how to get your plant collection mapped with IrisBG. The session here will last for approximately 90 minutes. We'll hope we might get shorter depending on the number of questions. So first I would like to introduce myself. My name is Harvard Ostgaard. I'm the manager of botanical software here in the United Kingdom. I'm a software architect by profession, but I also worked with this project for many, many years, and I'm also a keen gardener, so I know a bit about plants, but not as much as the botanists on our team, who is also joining us today, Øyvind Rustad. So today we're going to talk about what is IrisBG. Just a very short introduction. Some of you may not have looked at our product in great length, so we're going to just have a quick sort of summary of what our product does. Then we're going to talk a bit about what we think about mapping and you know, our angle on how we believe it could be made easier for users. So, and then we're going to give an overview of how Iris handles mapping. And then we're going to go into a lot of examples just to show you all the different uses of Iris and mapping. We're also going to step out of the desktop version and also look a bit on the Garden Explorer on the web and then Iris Mobile. And then at the end we'll look a bit about how you can configure your system and change different settings and how that works for you. And then at the end we have a quick run of questions and answers. On the practical note, if you have any questions, we've just switched off your microphone, so you don't have to worry about you accidentally sort of breaking in here. But if you have a question during the sessions, feel free to use the chat function just by sending us a text message. That might be easier, and then I'll try to answer it during the session. If it doesn't fit in, I'll address the question you bring in at the end of the session. So, what is IrisBG? Well, first of all, it's a complete collection management solution. We're trying to give you everything you need to manage your plant collection for your garden. Our focus when designing the system could be sort of summarized in these 5 points that you see below here. So ease of use is very important for us, making it easier for you to manage staff, getting new staff in. You know, they can hopefully be introduced to this product with as little effort as possible. It's also been designed to be very flexible so that you can change the behavior of the system to fit your requirements. We always look at the technology available today and try to make it up to date with to fit and work on modern equipment. Time saving is a very important aspect for us and for our customers, so that they don't spend unnecessary time in front of the computer when you should be out in the garden, maybe. And on top of that, we also really think it's important that the product should have a price that makes it accessible to small and big gardens alike. The product has a standard package that covers all the essentials for any plant collection, and then in addition there are several modules. I'm just moving away that clock. There is the Garden Explorer, which is a module to publish your plant collection on the net. There is Iris Mobile, which is a solution to update your plant collection on a handheld device. There is Map Viewer, and that's what we're going to talk about today, which is gives you the possibility to use maps together with the system. And then there is the index seminum, which gives you the possibility to create seed lists and receive seed orders online with the online version of the product. There's also the garden herbarium, which is a possibility to record herbarium specimens alongside your living collection. And then finally, the data import. So there's lots of resources online about this on our website. Okay, so does it have to be difficult? That's one question we asked ourselves when we looked into maps, and that's a number of years ago. We sort of thought, obviously, that IRIS and any other system like ours should have a good mapping feature. And when we started looking at maps, this picture that I'm showing you here was the classic example of map solutions available in the market. It was designed by cartographers and by GIS or geographic information system designers. Fantastic products in their own right, in that you could do all kinds of things with the maps, but maybe not suitable if you want to record plants and want to, if that's your focus. So having looked at this aspect of it, we also reflected a bit about how maps have evolved over the years. So in the old days, the way this the world looked 10 years ago was that you typically had GIS specialists coming from the mapping section, and then they had their own little department, and the people who developed software were using or were in their own department. And these were typically two different approaches to how to record and handle data. And then in 2005, 2006, Openstreetmap was introduced, and also Google Maps. And suddenly, people realized that maps could be used for all kinds of things. Maps suddenly became accessible to the average man on the internet, and that created a sort of a revitalization on how maps can be used, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a very sort of elitist product or something that is only for the few. So today we believe that mapping should be an integrated experience. So it should be something that comes natural together with the regular record keeping, and not something that is separate and only used by specialist staff. So that's our sort of important sort of focus on how we deal with this in IRIS as well. So then I thought I should, before I go into details, I will show you just one simple example on how IRIS and mapping work on a daily basis for our users. So I'm going to bring here in front of you, I've showed you here the IRIS desktop. This is the trial version, which is available for download. So if you would like to have a download of the trial version, get in touch with me after the session, and I can give you all the details to do that. So all the examples I will show you today is I will be using the trial version of IRIS. So for those of you who haven't seen IRIS, just quickly, on top here you have the toolbar. On the left-hand side you have the navigation area where you can go to the different screens. So now I'm in the accession screen, and then I can navigate to the taxa screen by clicking on the taxa tab here, and then go back to the accession screen. So that's a very quick introduction. There are lots of resources online on more details on how to use our product. So what I wanted to show you is, okay, I got a new plant coming in here, and I want to record that with location in the garden as well in the one operation. So it's Quercus acutissima. You see here, I type and I get the taxon name coming up immediately. I press enter, and I need to record the provenance. So this is a garden with wild origin. And then I need to record the location of the plant. So it's a planting, and I put that in the large lawn in the arboretum. And I have just planted it, and we can put it in October 2012. And I can click Save. So now I got my planting, and then I also want to say exactly where it is in the garden. I can type in the coordinates here, but I will instead bring up the map, zoom in, and drag the marker in the area where the tree's been planted. Select and close, and then save, and then I'm done. So this operation took me, well, I didn't time it, but it took me, didn't take many minutes to complete. So it's a very effective way to record accessions, and also using maps, as you saw, just drag and drop. So so that's the story for the sort of daily use. What we will talk about the rest of the session here is other aspects of mapping, how to record origin of species, where the plants were collected, etc., etc. So these will be other use scenarios that are sort of not the sort of daily use, but this example is actually what will be the most common use scenario. So I will just talk then a bit sort of on a more sort of a higher level about and give you an overview of how mapping fits into our product. So mapping have two main objectives in Iris. First, it's to show things in your collection that is part of your garden. So there are plants in your garden. You want to show that on maps. You want to show garden areas. Where are they on the map? And also assets. So it's a question of displaying and being able to update details about your your items in your plant collection. In addition, we also work on recording the origin of your accessions. So then you work with maps covering the rest of the world, and then typically, yeah, we will show you in more details how that works. And our solution has a very open technology that gives you the possibility to choose between a wide range of different maps. So you can use your own maps. They can be of different formats. They could be ArcGIS or PostGIS. If you have AutoCAD or Vectorworks, they can be converted into the ArcGIS or PostGIS format, and then also fit into the system. Or you could use internet map providers. There's Bing, Openstreetmap, Google, Yahoo, etc., etc. And there's also a large selection of map resources hosted by different university bodies that might be relevant for you as well. We'll talk a bit more about how these map providers work in the system and how you can set that up. And one thing that is important to understand is where you store the data about your map coordinates. This is a question that pops up quite a lot, so I would like to sort of make that clear. So at the lower level, you have the map provider. So that could be your own maps, or it could be Google or Bing, etc. And then you have Iris, and that's where you record the exact coordinates for your assets or your areas or your plants. So that's stored in Iris. And then Iris will then put these two things together. So that means that you can change out the map providers with great ease. So the map provider down here can be replaced with another one. You get a new map, but the location of the plants still stay the same, giving you a very sort of flexible model. So you can, in 5 years, you can introduce a new map, and you don't need to do anything with the actual recording of the locations or the assets. Okay, so that was a very quick overview of how maps work in IRIS. I will now go into more details and show you a number of examples of how it works in daily use. I'm going to talk a bit about how to record the origin of plants, plant material, and show you how that works. Then I'm going to discuss or go in more detail about the map dialog, so you can see what kind of features that are available in the dialog. We're going to talk about how to produce maps and without recording the exact location of our plant. That is a unique feature in IRIS as far as we know. And we will also go on to recording exact location. Then we'll talk a bit about an alternative approach to using GPS, which is a great feature in IRIS, the possibility to use something called a coordinate calculator. And then at the end we'll talk a bit about the map locations and then also the assets. I didn't mention it earlier in the introduction. We'll have room for a short break after about 40 minutes, so there will be a short break at that time. So what I'll do is I'll bring up IRIS again, and we're now going to take a new example. We're going to start by recording a new. We received some seeds a while back, so we're going to record those seeds. It was Silene aculis, and the origin or the provenance here was it's a widely collected seed. So I can put the plant material as well, just to make it a proper recording here. And then I want to record the exact location of the origin of this plant. Then I use a term called locality. And the way I do that is that I just click on the button with the 3 punctuation marks. That gives me a dialog to enter new data or view existing data underneath this information. So I want to record locality, and when you get seeds, sometimes you get all these details sent to you. So in this case, I did get all the details, and it's in Canada, and it's in an area called Kelsall Lake. And the altitude, we have that as well. We might as well put it in, 1,484 meters. And then we have the coordinates. So this, what's great with IRIS is that we support a wide range of different coordinate formats and datums. I will just put in this format here. So you can, if you have it on an electronic format, you can paste it in as well, like this. And now if I save this, you will see that the system understands automatically the datum and the format based on what I entered in. So so you know, different seed collectors will record or use different formats, or may do. And what's interesting here is that after I've done that, I also then get the map symbol, so I can now verify if this location looks like a correct recording. So I can just click on that. And to me, that looks like Canada for me. And then here I can then zoom in using the mouse wheel. And we see here we have Kelsall Lake. So that's I'm now sort of happy with that. But since I'm in the dialogue, I will spend a few minutes talking about this dialogue. Now, the map dialogue that you see in front of you, that comes up when you work with maps, and it's the same dialog that gives you different possibilities. You see down here you can use the zoom to zoom in and out. You can also use the mouse wheel to zoom. You can change between different map types. And here you see that we get a lot of options. We will discuss later on how you can change these options. But I can, for example, go to the, instead of using the terrain, I can change to the Bing satellite. And then that will pull up. It might be a bit slow over the internet for you here, but so I changed, and I can change back to the Google Hybrid Map. And there's other options here on the menu. I can save it, I can print the map, etc., etc. So if I want to drag the map to right and left, I just drag the map, and then I will pan the map to the right and left. And when I'm happy with the where the location is, I can just select and close this and save. So if I do select and close back, I go back to the accession. So if I now recorded several seeds or several accessions collected in the same area, I can reuse this locality. So that's how you then can record the locality of plants. So let's complete this record by going into the items, and we'll select planting, and we recorded this in it could be in the section A of the experimental department, and we have now sown this, and let's say we put this in seed tray in April. Okay, so now we've sown this, and let's say that the plant germinated in May. So we'll just change that. So what's interesting now is that you will see that the history here automatically is generated for you. So I can see that when it was sown, I can see when it germinated, and let's now move it out into the garden. So we planted this out. By the way, these lists that you see here with the plant status, etc., all these things can be changed by you in the system settings. So it can be in your own language, and it can also be a list can be shorter or longer depending on your own requirements. So we move this out into the a new area. Let's say we put this into the rock garden, for example. Let's say here's the rock garden, yeah, and then we do bed 17. And we did that was in July. So okay, so this is a small perennial, and what is interesting now is that the rock garden, you will see here that I can have a look and show where this plant is located on the map. Now this is the area, the location of the area in the garden, and not the plant itself. So if I click on this now, I'll show you. So that's the area where this plant is located. But that is sort of a more of a general recording. So what is interesting to note here then is that we don't need to do anything else now. We can just stop, and we still can produce maps and see where this Selene aculis is located. Mind you, not on an exact location, but at least on the sort of general area of the garden. So if you divide your areas into manageable bits, it will be very useful for people to see, okay, it's in that area. And the nice thing here is then that you can decide which plants you actually record exact location for. That's a great time saver, especially if you have lots of perennials, which can be very time consuming to record the exact location of. Yeah. So and then we can move on to show you how these maps work if I go to the maps section. So what I'll when you're in the accession, you can see where one plant is located. In the maps section, you can then produce maps to show where these plants are located, or a list of plants. So if I, for example, go to the we create an area, a local map of all my accessions, and then I can, let's say I want to do all the plants of a certain family here, the Caryophyllaceae, and then I get a map here, and then you will see that in our bedrock garden, our Silene will pop up together with all the other plants, and most of these have no exact location because most of them are perennials, I suppose. But if I click on this, I can then see, okay, there are two plants of that family in that area, and then I can open details about that particular plant. So you see the benefit now already that I can produce maps very quickly without having to record exact location of these plants. If I wanted to record the exact location, I can do that from this dialog as well. So I can open up the dialog, zoom in, and let's say that this plant is located here, and select and close, save that, go back. For this to take effect, I need to just bring the map up again. So I close that, and I'll view this again. And now we can see that the Silene aculis has its own map marker that will give you an exact location of the plant. So that's sort of then you've now seen the power of actually being able to use maps without recording exact location of everything. Okay, so I'll close this dialog. Now, in addition to the local maps, which I now showed you, we have also the global maps, and I will click on showing create a map where I will show all the collection points or the origin of my accessions. And I could, for example, do continent and North America. So I will click on view here. And here you will then see, and this is my sample database, so there's not that many data points in the system, but you will see up here, here's my Silene aculis again. And again, I have the map dialog, and I can change map type. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. Yeah, so and I can also click on the marker and view the underlying accession and make changes to that if I want to. So that's a very integrated experience with the rest of the product. And what's important here, just to sort of point that out to everyone, is that on your computer you don't need to install any particular software apart from Iris. There's no requirements of any special GIS software on the machine that each user have. Okay, so let's move on to the accession screen. What I will talk a bit about now is to talk about the alternative to recording GPS. So if we go back to this plant here, we saw that we just well, what I'll do is I'll bring it up again. So Silene. I seem to, there we go, yeah, sorry about that. So we recorded the exact locations by dragging the mouse on the screen. You could, of course, if you have a GPS system, you can record that and type it into the system. You can use Iris Mobile. You can do use GPS and then use the data import to import a spreadsheet. And what's also another alternative is to use what is called the coordinate calculator, which gives you the possibility to record location points based on reference points in your garden. So I'm going to show you a quick example of that. Just clear the screen for a new accession. And then we will record, let's say, we just do a Quercus again. We just do an Arcotissima. Provenance is garden. And then we go here and record the planting. We'll just do Arboretum bed 17 again. And planted today. And I'll save this. And then if I now want to record exact location, as I showed you, I could just bring up the map and drag this around, or I can use the coordinate calculator. And the way that works is that you set up your system by recording reference points that you have that has the exact location. So that could be fixed objects in the garden, or it could be posts hammered down into the ground with exact points. So one garden, one of our customers have put up posts as a grid system, and they all have exact points. So when they're out in the garden, they plant a new plant, they go to the nearest grid reference or post, they measure the distance from that point and also the compass angle or the azimuth. So in the same sample database, we have 2 survey points, but in a more sort of classic environment, you would have 50 or 100 or something. So I pick the first reference point here, and it's 37 degrees, and it's 11.5 meters away. And then I can calculate the exact coordinates and press OK. So this is actually just as precise and can be just as precise as the top spec GPS systems. If you measure, obviously, if the angle of the compass is wrong, then of course it won't be correct. But if you measure and do everything with care, then this will be just as precise and very convenient, because you don't need to run around with a very expensive equipment. And I can now look in the map to see where that was. So here we go. We planted this tree straight in the lawn. That might be correct. I don't know. Okay. So that is how it works with the plant coordinate calculator. Now let's move on to the next example, and that is yeah, there was one just quick question. The azimuth. What is azimuth? It's well, translates compass degree, but I think it's an Arabic word, I think, and I'm not sure exactly the translation of the word itself, but it's a short word for the angle of the compass, or the sort of degree, so starting from 0 to 360 or 59. So that's the yeah, that's short explanation. Beyond that, I think I will refer to other resources than myself on the exact definition. So thank you for that. And I wanted to talk a bit about the garden areas. So if we go to the management section here, so just to sort of give you a quick overview, we talked about the details and how you record the origin of the plants, and we also now recorded the exact location of the plants, and also we saw the benefit of having recorded the location map locations of our garden areas. And if we go to the management section here and into the locations part of the system, so this is how you set up all your garden areas. You can record those in a sort of hierarchical style, so you can divide your garden into areas and sub-areas or subsections. So this could be as deep as you like. And then, in addition, you can then, when you set up your system, you will then typically record also the exact location of each area. So if I then look at the rock garden here, for example, we remember that we put this one plant in rock garden bed 17, which is recorded down here. We can see that we have the possibility to, for example, record location of rock garden bed 12, and I can do the same. I can use the Azimuth distance calculator, or I can enter the coordinates, or I can click on the map again, and let's say it's down here. Yeah, I'll just take an example here, and then I'm done. So if you think about this, when you get the system and set it up, depending on the size of your garden, it wouldn't take you too long to set up all your location points. And from then on, you already have enough details to produce useful maps of your garden and where the location of the plants you have. So that's a very unique feature that we give to our customers, and also gives you the possibility, as I said earlier, to decide which plants you find worthwhile recording the exact location of. I mean, you might have resources to record the exact location of every plant, which is great, but you don't have to, and you could still use maps for all your plants. So that's the location, garden locations. And then I also want to spend a few minutes talking about assets. This is a sort of slight side point, not necessarily something directly related to plant collection management, but we still have possibility to record different things. One of the features here is that these details, together with everything else, can be published online on your Garden Explorer. And sometimes, for example, if you have public services, toilets, or maybe benches, you can then give that information to the customer as well. So I can record here, let's say I want to record a bench. So I'll give that a name, B001 bench. And yeah, we have a type called bench. Again, this list could be customized by yourself. And I will click on the marker and say, okay, it's put in front of the, let's see, the tree. We have that just nicely and snug in front of the greenhouse here. And then publish. So just a reminder that the publish here will then give you the possibility to make that available to visitors when they look on the website. So that's assets. Okay, great. So if we go back to our slides, we've gone through a number of things here. We've showed you how to record the origin of the plants. We showed you how the map dialog works. The map dialog pops up every time you want to look at the map or change map coordinates by using the mouse. We have looked at the possibility how you can record or produce maps without recording exact location. We also then looked at recording exact location of the planting. Then we showed you the alternative to GPS by using survey points, and we have also talked a bit about the garden areas and the assets. What I think is it's a good point now to take a quick break. So it's 17 minutes to 11, so we'll have a 4-minute break. So, and we'll get back to you in 13 minutes to 11. So tune in, and yeah, we'll carry on talking about Garden Explorer, how that will work, how maps work in the Garden Explorer, and how maps work on the handheld device. And then we will again at the end talk about assets and map settings, how you can configure your system, and how that works with everything else. Okay, thank you. I don't know if everyone is back from the break, so I'll start a bit slowly by just referring to that one question about the Azimuth. So now I could have hidden this screen, of course, and looked very smart, but I will resist the temptation. And so the definition is an angular measurement in a spherical coordinate system. So there you go. Didn't make me much smarter, I think, but anyway, it's a way to express a compass angle in our case. So it measures in degrees, as it says here. Yeah. Okay. We'll carry on and go over to our next slide, which is using maps with Garden Explorer on the web and using maps on our handheld device, IrisMobile. So just to make a clear point here, that what we've talked about up until now is how maps fit in with our desktop product, IrisBG, and then we have other modules which I talked about in the introduction, which is the Garden Explorer, which is a web solution to publish your plant collection online. And then we also have IrisMobile, which is a handheld device or a solution to run on a mobile handheld device to update your plant collection out in the garden. So the solution for Garden Explorer, it works on any web browser that you might use on your desktop computer. It also works and adapts to handheld devices. So if you have visitors coming with a smartphone, they can use their smartphone to watch and see where the plants are collected in the garden, and it even integrates with GPS. So visitors can use your website that you've posted and see where they are in the garden in relation to the plants they're looking for. So it's a great feature. The user interface also supports multiple languages, and it also supports languages that are written from right to left, like Hebrew and Arabic. And it has infrastructure to deal with QR codes and RFID tags, which I will spend a few minutes talking about later on in the session. So what I will do is bring up a website of one of our customers. Let's see. What I've done here is to bring up a website of Hoyt Arboretum in Oregon. So they've started using Iris only a few months ago, and they already have a website up and running. With it's not completely finished with details, but it's a good example in that it has very good map coordinates for all their plants, which they already had recorded. So what I can do here as an example is to search for a plant that I know of, which has a very interesting common name. So it's an Asimina triloba, and I can I can combine search here, and then when I click on the link, I get the details of the plant, and from a mapping point of view, you can see here on the right where it is located in the garden. The visitor can then click on the images if there are several images. And you have also details on the top here that is recorded on their system that they decided to publish. And there's here also links to more resources. Here in this case, for example, they have a link to the USDA plant profile. Now the visitor can, on the map here, you can decide what kind of maps. It can be your own maps, or it can be, in this case, a Bing hybrid or Openstreetmap, and the visitor can change between these maps. So we will have a default map In addition, the visitor can show you where it is there's an overview map down here to see where you are located in relation to everything else. And of course, the visitor can zoom in and see sort of better where the different accessions are. And I can also click on, so I see this one from 78, for example. That's one of the younger specimens. If I click on that, the marker will show me which one is from 78, and here's the older one, older specimen is located there. So this is a very powerful feature that is available to visitors, and you can imagine if you go around with a mobile, obviously the screen will be different, but the functionality will be the same. You can do exactly what I did here on the desktop. And if he's a French-speaking person in this case, he can switch to that, or you can decide if you want to have different language support than these two that I show here. In addition to just regular search, you can also use the map feature, which gives the possibility to explore the garden from a map perspective. And then I can just zoom into, if I am very interested in to walk along the wildwood trail down here, I can just zoom in, and then I get, as you see here, the plant markers are very, so I can look around the path here of the upper Cascade Drive and see that here we got a very nice magnolia or something, etc., etc. So a different way to view the plant collection. Yeah. So that's the Garden Explorer. There are we have other Garden Explorer websites running. So go to our website or get in touch with you. Want to get resources on details on more examples. So just to show you how Garden Explorer works on an iPad, just to illustrate the flexibility and design of the system, this will adapt to the screen of the iPad. It also works then on the touch screens, so that you can use your fingers to pinch and zoom, which is really great. And if you rotate the screen, the layout will adapt to that. So there's been we've put a lot of research into this to make it adapt to different user scenarios and give the visitor the optimal experience depending on what kind of platform he's using. Then I wanted to say a few words about QR codes and RFID tags. So with in front of you, you see a QR code, which you could then put on as part of your plant labeling regime. And the visitors, this particular QR code will send you to this particular address that you see here, the Garden Explorer for Hoyt Arboretum. And if I scan that one, I can bring my example up again. I will be sent to this page. So the visitor, if he walked this path and came to this area in the garden, used his barcode or his smartphone and scanned the barcode, he will be given this screen, and then he could read about more details about the plant. Now, if you have a lot of gardens have thousands and thousands of plants, so this is a management question. How do I get all my QR codes established? Well, in Iris, if I go back to my desktop version here, if you look at the taxa screen, each taxa has detail called QR code link. Now, if you have Garden Explorer installed, we automatically assign a QR code link to every taxa that is relevant for your plant collection that is published. So that means that you don't have to think about this. You can just publish your plant collection and then decide which plants you want to print a QR code label for, and then you're up and running. So there's, you don't really have to think about it. That's the short version of this, which is really great. You can use this either with QR codes or with RFID tags, which is sort of quite new for the public. There are phones coming out now that have these sort of near field, it's called NFC, and they can use that for that. So that will work in similar fashion like a QR code does, in that you will have a web address related to the RFID tag. The other thing that is worth noting is the how Garden Explorer integrates with IrisBG. Now that's also something that we worked hard on to make this as smooth as possible for all our users. And we can have a quick look here. So you have your plant collection on your system, and then you have the World Wide Web, which is hopefully separated by a firewall so that you are more secure. And the Garden Explorer is hosted on a separate machine out on the internet, and you just click a button and you publish your plants out onto that web server. So you don't have visitors accessing the database on site in of your own plants. There's a specific database with all your plant collection that is published. So that makes it a very secure solution or a way to publish your plants. Yeah, there was one question here about the QR codes. I just want to go back to that quickly. Yeah, does the QR codes lead to the taxa and not the accession? That's correct. Yeah, we in our layout we send you to the taxa. That's because there are several reasons for that. There is well, when we print, it's a bit of a complicated answer, but the short answer is yes. We do have also information about the accession when you print the actual QR code, but for the visitor's point of view and the integration of Garden Explorer, we send you to the taxa screen because you have one screen for each taxa, or one web page for each taxa, and not for each accession. That's all. I'm saying one more thing here about this without making it too complicated. That's also to help the indexers like Google and Garden Explorer integrates with the Google and Bing search engines, and they of course, when you search for Quercus or Celine aculis online on Google, your Garden Explorer website will come up, and then when the visitor or you click on that link, you'll send to the taxon page, and you can see all the accessions you have of that specific species. Okay, so that's I want to show you at the end of this Garden Explorer presentation, or the talk about the Garden Explorer. I would like to just quickly show you how you upload your data. So to upload your plant collection online, you have something called System Tasks, and you have something called Upload to the Web Explorer. And then you click this button, and a few minutes later, you're finished. So that's how this is done. You don't have to think about anything else. So what I did mention, which I will repeat, is that you can decide which areas of your garden is published. You can decide which plants, which taxa that are published. You can also publish, you can decide which accessions are published. You can hide the location of certain accessions, so you only publish the fact that you have them but not where, etc. So the flexibility here is quite sort of powerful. Okay. moving on to the next topic, which is Iris Mobile. So Iris Mobile works in a way that you bring your handheld device to your desktop, you click a button, and then you synchronize your plant collection with the handheld device. What I'll do is I'm going to show you quickly that screen so you can here is the Iris Mobile Synchronizer, which is to synchronize your system. You just click the button and it will retrieve all the changes made on the handheld and send it back to the machine, etc. It's very, very easy. And then all the changes made on the handheld will be put in the inbox. And what is relevant here for map perspective is that here you can then transfer your maps to the handheld device. So you can use the same maps as you use on the desktop. I can decide here is the S3 map, or I can have instead I can use the Google satellite, for example. And then I just transfer the map to the device. So the handheld works in that it doesn't require any network connection when you're out in the field. So you will have the maps on the device, and that will create a very smooth experience in terms of because the maps are loaded onto the machine itself. So very, very straightforward process to integrate maps with your handheld. So this topic is sort of, from a technical point of view, there has some complications, but from a user point of view, it's as simple as it can be, we believe. So we're very pleased with that solution as well. So moving on, we will talk a bit about map settings. So we've now sailed through how maps are used throughout the system. We will now quickly have a look at the different settings that you have on the system. So first, the initial setup, when you get the system, you will have here on the management screen, you have something called collections. So most customers have one collection. That is typically one garden. So for some customers who have separate gardens or two parts of the garden that are away from each other, or for different reasons want to be separated for access control, etc., they can record several collections. For each collection, you then have details about the map, and that's hidden behind here. And here you can then change things like coordinate format, datum. If you have ETRS, you can have a different prefix zone, etc. All these settings are typically something you do initially when you set up the system. You don't change the datum, for example, halfway. That is not something you do normally. And here's also details of if you want to record the azimuth distance, you can skip that, and then you don't get that dialog button showing either. One thing you might change occasionally is the default map. So here it's Google Satellite, which I can then change to something else if I want to. So that's the map. That's the map settings. In addition, we have the location types. I showed you that earlier on a bit with the assets. So, but I'll show you how these can be configured. So here again, definitions. This is where you configure the system. For regular users, all these screens I'm showing you down here are only visible to the administrator. So for the standard user, he will not be subjected to all these options. So it makes it slightly less crowded for the average user. So here you could see that I have the bench, as you saw. I can change the map marker for the bench to something else, for example. Yeah, a blue point, for example. Well, that will, never mind, it's not very important. A white pin. So, and then save that. So that's the location points. So here you can introduce other settings if you like. And finally, we have what is called map providers, which is the one that is a bit more interesting if you're looking into the mapping aspect of the solution. So this is where you configure your different map types you have. So when you get the system, you might feel that it's not really interesting to see all these different standard options that are down here. So you have Yahoo, etc. You can say you don't want those two, and you don't like the ArcGIS, etc. So you can then hide those maps if you want. Then here on the top, you can add your own map types. I've added a few examples here just to show you how this works. On the trial database, we have one ArcGIS provider loaded. We have another example here of Bergen Museum. I want to show you that because it's a very good example of how the quality of local maps, how that can be. So when do I need local maps, and when do I, do I need to get my own maps? Well, the question is how good the satellite maps are of your own garden. If you have really great satellite maps in your area, then you may not need to have your sort of custom-made maps. That is something for you to look at, and then you can always start with just using the standard maps given by the system, and then you can add your local maps later. That's very easy. So this map is an Esri-based map, and we put big maps below. And if I zoom in here, I'm doing it a bit slowly so you can get the feel of depth here. So you can see that the detailing is very good. You can really zoom very deep in, and that's one reason for bringing your own maps in. The zoom levels might not be good enough. The other thing is that you can also, in these kind of maps, you can of course record the layout of the indoor areas, like a greenhouse, for example. Something you will not get with Google and Bing. And the third thing is, if you have a garden with a very heavy canopy, if they've taken the satellite photos in the summer months, they might be hard to see what's going on in the garden because of all the foliage covering up the. So here's another example. This is an example where we have where we use just open map provider published by the American government, which gives you the US counties. And I've put that on top of Bing, the standard Bing maps. So this example, it might not be applicable for a sort of standard garden, but it's just to illustrate the capabilities. So there are a lot of universities out there who have different types of maps. For example, rainfall measurements, etc., all kinds of things, and some of them might be relevant for you. So yeah, there's a question here about how many map providers can I put in. At the moment, we have a limit of 9, but if you really think you need more, then let us know and we'll extend this. This is just for sort of as a standard setting now, but this can easily be extended from a system point of view. So moving on, so that's the map providers. Now we looked at the different settings, and these are the things you do usually once. You might go in here occasionally to tweak or add a new provider, etc. So with the map providers, just to also talk a bit about how you use different map providers. So if you have your own map providers, they need to be hosted on a map server, a VMS map server. That becomes a bit technical, but that's a service that we offer, or you might have resources in your own garden or other people you know, or companies or organizations that you work with that have this kind of service. So there are plenty of different types of service that should be compatible with IRIS. Okay, so we've now sort of traveled through IRIS, and the big question for us is, does it have to be difficult? What I showed you in the beginning, and which I think is important to go back to, is the fact that for a daily requirement, you will usually use the mapping feature to record location of your maps of your plants, and I showed there in the beginning that it does take you very little effort to do that with quite a good degree of accuracy by just dragging the map marker. So we think it doesn't have to be, and we feel that we've managed to solve that with our design. And then to summarize what we've talked about today. I'll talk a little bit about what IRIS is. As I mentioned in the introduction, there's plenty of resources online where you can see tutorials, etc. We've tried to, we discussed whether mapping has to be difficult or not. We also gave you a sort of a quick overview of how IRIS fits into, or mapping fits into IRIS. And we showed you a lot of examples, and I hope those examples didn't confuse you in that the standard use is typically to record the location of your own plants, and all the other things we talked about are sort of something you do when you set up the system. We also talked a little bit about how to publish your plants online with the Garden Explorer and how maps fit into that, and also with the IrisBG mobile. And finally, we rounded off with the map settings and how you can set up the system and change the behavior of the system. Okay, so we have a few minutes to round off with some questions if any of you have any questions. So feel free to use the chat function, and I will try to answer them. We had, I can probably take one question that we had from a previous session, and that was the difference between IRIS and BG-Base, BG-Map. That was a very good question, and primarily BG-Map, BG-Base, it's sort of two products that try to work together. We deliver an integrated solution with everything in one package. We have the support for different types of maps. The BG-Base, BG-Map solution, they work on a CAD-based AutoCAD system where you have to install AutoCAD on the client, and I don't think you can change between maps. So that's and the integration with mobile is also slightly or much simpler in our case in terms of how you maintain the maps. The pricing might be an option as well. But having said all this, I advise you to discuss or talk to people who use the product, BG-Base, BG-Map, if you're considering that as an alternative, and see how they feel about the use of the product. There was one question. Maybe the map dialog. Could I show that again? Yeah, I can bring that up again just quickly. What I'll do is I'll go back to the accession screen. Yeah, and so the map dialog, it comes, that sort of little map symbol here is the indicator that the map dialog available. And this is the dialog. You can see here that you have the coordinates here where it is, and the coordinates you see here are based on your settings. So it might be a different format when you set it up than what we have on this trial database I'm showing you here. The zoom levels, you can drag this in and out. You can also here see the length. So this gives you in feet and in meters. You can change between map types up here, and that's about it. Grayscale mode is interesting if you want to print it on a black and white printer, I suppose. So you can switch between grayscale and black and white. So that's the map dialog. I don't know if there's anything other. Yeah, there's one question on how to install your own maps. Yeah, if the installation of maps will happen on a map server, so that's slightly technical. So if you want to install or have your own maps hosted on our server, you will just send us the shapefiles, S-ray shapefiles, and we will host it onto the server. And then when you want to set up your system to access these maps, you will do that in the map provider section. You will then add your new sort of my garden maps, and then you will add the service the link to that service. And then you probably, if you had your own maps, you would probably have several. You would have one maybe with water, or with including all the irrigation systems, etc. So you can have several variations on your own maps. When we rig the maps onto our server, we can create several combinations that you find applicable to your settings. So as I said, it could be one with irrigation system, one with gravel paths, and one with in internal drawings, etc. So there's several different. So that will then be, each one of these will be called a layer, and then the other aspects are the boundaries over the map, etc. So I hope that was sort of clear. So to show you how to set it up on the actual map server, that's a bit more complicated, but that's something you don't really need to worry about either, because that we will do that for you. Or if you're going to host it yourself, you then probably have GIS experts on your staff. Yeah. Okay, so just see if there's anything regarding. Yeah, the question that came up as well was the if Google or Bing is good enough, and I suggest you have a look yourself on your own areas. I mean, it's really great, and the quality of Google and Bing will increase, I think. Now also Nokia has come out with their maps, so there's a sort of competition between the different providers online to provide good quality maps. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't seem to get. There doesn't seem to be more questions coming in, which is fine. So finally, I would like to thank you ever so much for joining us today. We have gone through all the aspects of mapping and how that works on Iris, and hopefully you found this useful, and feel free to send us an email if you have any further questions. We have plenty of resources available online. We also have a trial version for download if you want to see this in more detail or try it out. There's a question about the recording of the webinar, and the answer is, I think, yes, I'm recording as we speak, and everything seems to be okay. So we'll look through it. If the recording is of good quality, we will make it available to you and send a link to everyone that participated. We'll probably make it available for everyone, but yeah, that's a very good question, and I will send a link to you when that's made available. I'm sort of quite confident that that will work. So yeah, a recording will be made available. Please fill out the questionnaire at the end if you have the time. And again, thank you very much, and I hope you will join us for the next session coming up I believe, on next Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Check on our website for the other webinar that's coming up. We have another one this week in the evening and another one next week. Okay. Again, thank you very much.